What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Lieutenant Skits, and welcome to my first World of Warships video. Now, this game is a, well, it's a very War Thunder type game. It recently came out in open beta about a month to 2 months ago, and I've been playing it ever since it came out of closed beta and went into open beta, and so far I have freaking fallen in love with this game. You do not see games like these nowadays, where, you actually have these accurate ships modeled after these World War II era type of ships, and I can't even describe it. It's just, I love this game. So for my first video here, I'm on the Tier 4 US carrier, the Langley-class carrier. So just some stats for the Langley. It has an 8,000 horsepower engine with a top speed of 15.9 knots. That doesn't change with upgrades. Stock hit points, you're looking at 33,300, and upgraded, you're looking at 33,700. Hangar capacity, once you first start out, you'll be able to carry 24 planes in the hangar. Once you upgrade that hangar capacity, you'll go up to 30. Anti-aircraft guns, you won't have any when you start out, but once you get the upgrade, you'll have 20 anti-aircraft guns. And then your secondaries, you always have 4 secondary weapons, so that never changes through upgrades. So this is a carrier, so it does have aircraft. What aircraft does it have? Well, you always carry 2 squadrons. 1 squadron for fighters and 1 for torpedo bombers. You can see here, I've sent my fighters to go attack this torpedo bomber group. That is very important. With all US aircraft carriers, your main priority is air superiority. That means attacking incoming enemy bomber formations, attacking enemy fighter formations that are moving in on friendly bomber formations, or just scouting out the area. Your main priority when you are using a United States aircraft carrier is air superiority. And your weapons for doing this are stock. You have 1 squadron of 6 Curtiss TS-1 fighters with a cruise speed of 109 knots, 560 hit points for survivability, and an average damage per second of 23 hit points. Once you upgrade that fighter squadron, you'll have 1 squadron of 6 Curtiss F-6C-1 fighters with a cruise speed of 115 knots, survivability of 760, and an average damage per second of 31 hit points. But you do have these offensive bombers, which you can see I'm using now. 3 hits on this battleship, unfortunately no flooding, but that's alright. I do manage to incapacitate something on the battleship, and I have done a good amount of damage to it, so that will help support my team later on. Your torpedo bombers, once you start out, you have 1 squadron of 6 Douglas DT torpedo bombers with a cruise speed of 89 knots, survivability of 610, and maximum torp damage of 5,900 hit points. Your torpedo moves at 35 knots, and it has a range of 3.1 kilometers. Once you upgrade these bombers, however, you'll upgrade to 1 squadron of 6 Martin T-3M torpedo bombers with a cruise speed of 89 knots, survivability of 800 hit points, maximum torpedo damage 8,500. Your torpedo speed will stay the same, it'll still be at 35 knots, but it is slightly modified. You will have slightly bigger range. However, you're really only going to be focusing on 1 target if you do use these torpedo bombers, so that isn't much of an advantage in the battles you'll be facing. So I've just cleared out a couple of bomber squadrons and managed to get some hits on that battleship. My torpedo bombers have landed, and they are now rearming, and I've managed to discover both of the enemy team's carriers. This round, it was myself in my Langley and a Tier 5 US carrier, the Bogue, versus an enemy Langley and a Tier 5 Japanese carrier, the Suiho. Now, the Japanese carriers are the exact opposite of the American carriers. They almost exclusively focus on just offensive fire. They have multiple squadrons of torpedo bombers and dive bombers, and I think they only carry about 1 to 2 squadrons of fighters. However, their squadrons are smaller. You'll notice that these Japanese squadrons I'm fighting here, they only have 4 planes in each squadron. And that is why the Americans are so great with American versus Japanese air superiority. You have 6 fighters to go up against 4 to maybe 6 Japanese planes, whether it be torpedo bombers, dive bombers, or enemy fighters. Your planes, unless you're fighting American ships, will always have the numerical advantage in a 1v1 squadron fight. So, my fighter squadron has been shot down. However, you'll see the hangar capacity of the Langley comes in very handy. Once you start out in a battle, you will have 1 full squadron of 6 planes for each squadron you have, and then you will have 9 planes for each type of aircraft you have in reserve. So you will have 2 full squadrons and 1 half squadron for each type of aircraft you can carry, which is fighter planes and torpedo bombers. All in all, you're looking at carrying 15 planes for each type of aircraft. So, yeah, 30 planes in total. Now, you'll notice my Langley is fully upgraded. I'm currently working on getting the Bogue, and I hope to make a video on that when I get it and when I start using it. The Bogue actually carries, if you get the flight control upgrade for it, you can carry 2 fighter squadrons of 6 fighters each. And once you start out, you will have the upgraded fighters from the Langley, and you can upgrade those fighters even further. And then, once you get that flight control upgrade, you will be able to have a squadron of dive bombers to help you out. Speaking of bomber planes, in the most recent patch from Wargaming onto World of Warships, I have noticed that the defensive gunners on bombers have been noticeably buffed. I have managed to take out anywhere from 1 to 3 fighters with a full squadron of 6 torpedo bombers, and you see I did actually take out one of the fighters with my torpedo bombers defensive gunners. I do have my fighter squadron moving in to try to defend them. Unfortunately, as soon as my fighters get there, I lose my last torpedo bomber, but I do still have a full squadron in reserve, and then I have another half squadron in case I should lose any more torpedo bombers. I would like to note, though, the Bogue player in this game, phenomenal. We cleared the skies so fast. And unfortunately, there was a wounded destroyer that I called out earlier. He was attacking an AFK St. Louis before he started approaching me. He has launched torpedoes, and I am right inside his range for torpedoes. And that's 3 hits for my troubles, and he loses his ship and does not sink mine. He was so wounded that my measly 4 secondary defensive artillery was able to take him out. So that is my first ship kill for this match, and I'm honestly very proud of that. That is my first and so far only secondary artillery kill with a carrier. Now then, getting back to the fighter action, we have managed to clear the skies of almost all of the bomber aircraft. This other carrier up here, I'm not sure if it's the Langley or the Suiho, but this other carrier up here is launching torpedo bombers and fighter squadrons. That's the last of the planes that it has. It has no more aircraft in reserve. We've already sunk the other carrier, and I have my torpedo bombers moving in to attack this one, and we have, I believe, a battleship moving in on this carrier, moving to take it out. Another fighter down, 1 more to go, and then the Bogue and I will both move in on the torpedo bombers. And this is actually the first time I've seen this, but I actually did get a battle trophy of sorts for shooting down 30 enemy aircraft, so that was awesome. I've never gotten that before. You see this destroyer over here just moving in on a large torpedo strike, so alright, I've lost my target. I'll move in on this battleship instead. And when you're using carriers in general, you want to focus with your torpedo bombers on other carriers and battleships. Cruisers and destroyers are normally too quick and too fast for you to really get any effective torpedo strikes. I don't have any experience with dive bombers, but I imagine they might be the same thing. And once again, my situational awareness, I have none. Another destroyer has managed to sneak up on me. He's opening up on me with artillery. I was out of range for his torpedoes with the first few, but these two are about to screw me over. And that's the end of my game. But I do manage to call him out. The battleship that I was attacking with my torpedo bombers, I will get one more torpedo hit from that, then he will be taken out, and our destroyer and the enemy destroyer will kill each other, and that will be victory for us. So, all in all, not a bad match for the Langley, and this was a victory, so I did get the 1.5 times experience booster for the first victory of the day, so let's go and just check out the results we got. So, we did win 94,484 credits, 1,712 research for the Langley, and then 86 for the just whatever. 5 torpedo hits, 30 planes shot down, 1 incapacitation, 1 destroyer destroyed, and a captured base. I did manage to capture the base after that destroyer was taken out by just kind of sitting there in the ring and just focusing on my squadrons. So, the Langley-class carrier. It is a nasty little beast if the captain knows what he or she is doing, and if it isn't focused on. Unfortunately, it does get focused on a lot, but I really hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please like if you did, comment what you'd like to see next, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and as always, please remember, normal is overrated. I will see you all